Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions. Today we are discussing an inspired 2025 launch from H. Moser Cie of Schaffhausen, Switzerland. This is the HMC Alpine Motorsports Streamliner Drivers Edition, so a 200-piece limited edition in blue PVD steel. This is the version envisioned as a watch for the drivers of Alpine endurance and Formula One cars. And of course there is a mechanic and crew edition, which is a smartwatch. I think most connoisseurs will favor this. So this Alpine-inspired Streamliner is a chronograph featuring a 42.3 millimeter diameter case that's 14.3 millimeters thick, and then lug-to-lug, being that this one's on the strap, there's no bracelet, it's the same 42.3 millimeters. And you can see that the watch wears quite easily as a cushion profile that's lugless on a wonderfully pliant rubber strap. So the Alpine Motorsport Streamliner Drivers Edition Chrono is a flyback chrono, and incredibly, you can use the chronograph functions down to the rated depth of 120 meters. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see how easily it fits on the wrist. I would even say a woman could wear this, given how short the case is across the wrist. Look at all the clearance, and I'm pulling the strap tight. Now, it's not a super thin watch, but it does have a remarkably sloped case flank, so a sleeve should be able to ramp up and over that. And viewed from the top, which exaggerates the width of the watch, you can still see it's so narrow across the wrist. The lugs are nowhere near the edge. The strap's a beautiful piece. Of course, we have a couple of Grand Prix in the United States these days, but they're all in nice, warm, summery, hot places like Texas or Las Vegas or Miami. So the combination of blue and white seems appropriate for a U.S. inspired F1 Motorsports Chrono. And I should mention that they also are involved in WEC World Endurance Championships, so Le Mans style racing, although I believe F1 is the guiding light of this edition. Now we also have a matching model-specific blue PVD buckle, which is lovely because most Moser buckles are parts bin pieces that are basically thrown from their box of parts onto every given model. This is model-specific and version-specific, so PVD and steel with the blue coloration and then the combination of satin and polish, a really great and striking look. You can also see that the Streamliner's characteristic 70s style has not been diluted here. We still have that cushion-like case profile like the Chronoris Star, the Oris Chronoris Star, some of the late Mark Series Speedmasters, and we have that radial lapping machine style grain across the bezel. You can also see that the Sapphire is a unique combination of cambered, so it has a curve, and boxed, so it has a hard angularity at its edge. It's a really interesting look. And then we have the pushers themselves. This is a twin pusher chronograph, though it is a flyback, so I can stop and restart, and you can see I have radial minutes and I have radial seconds. So this is a 60-minute style Lamagna inspired display where I have two central registers for seconds and minutes, and they're both in a count of 60 units. So you can see as it passes the index at 60, we have instantaneous jumping. Now if I want, I can fly back, reset, and restart instantaneously without any need to stop. So it's a flyback chrono. Great if you are timing events that occur in rapid succession, as you might see around a road course at a Grand Prix. Take a quick look. You can see there's an anthracite tachymetric scale in units per hours. So you can actually use the chronograph to gauge the speed of an object like a race car. Let's say you start the chronograph when the race car begins the kilometer, and then you stop it when it ends the kilometer. Well, you just look where the chronograph seconds hand finished, and you can see this is just short of 250 kilometers per hour, so that's how that works. There's also an abundant amount of luminescence. It is a ceramic material called globalite. Now, not every Streamliner that uses globalite lume has all of the indices illuminated, but because this watch is partly inspired by 24-hour racing, we do have the entire dial lume. So this is actually the most readable Streamliner in the dark. The dial itself features a number of stylistic elements, the dominant ones being these splayed supports that link up with the center just over the cannon pinion and the drive for the chronograph functions, but these little angular bridges are designed to echo the suspension members of single-seat race cars. And you can see there's a number of different finishes here. We have snailing, we have engine turning, we have polishing. All the screws are polished. You can also see that the hands at center, they're actually very subtly the same lovely slate metallic blue as the case. Moser cases always feature some sort of evacuation and profile, and you can see this one features a little bit of a recess in satin finish between the case back and the bezel, and then the lip of the bezel and the case back are polished, as are the triggers for the chronograph. We have this little rubber shoulder around the crown, which is Moser branded. It is a screw-down crown. Turn it all over. You can see this is based on the Chronograph. So Chronograph is the movement partner that helps Moser with this HMC 700. So take a quick look on the dial side. Do you notice anything about the dial as I turn it? That's right. The rotor for this automatic movement is under the dial of the watch. And it is designed to look like the wheel of a racing car. So you can see it as a combination of snailing and media blast. So that energizes twin mainspring barrels, which, by the way, you can see through the dial side. Here they are. 72 hours of power reserve. It's got a 3 hertz beat rate. It is a big movement. It's 34.4 millimeters in diameter, this Chronograph. It features a column wheel actuation of its chronograph functions. There's the column wheel right there. I'd really describe it as more of a hybrid between a cam and a column wheel, but it's got the crisp feel of a column wheel. We also have the Chronograph clutch, which is said to create less jump on commencement compared to a conventional lateral clutch. And I will say it doesn't have the immense leap forward on every activation. I would say it's better than a conventional lateral clutch, but it is not quite as seamless as a vertical clutch. Nevertheless, the column wheel feel is outstanding and the decoration is superb. Jean-Marc Viderecht, who is behind Chronograph, said that the Chronograph movements actually leave the factory with a level of finish that could attain Geneva seal, because they are made in Geneva, if they were submitted as such for scoring. Now you can also see that the movement is incredibly complex, that nickel anthracite and Moser stripes, those double crested stripes, have been applied. All screw heads are mirror polished. You can see engine turning. Take a quick look. You can see there's a combination of beveling on the edges of the bridges as well as the chronograph components themselves in some instances. The chronograph components are natural steel, and then the bridges are all nickel anthracite. Take a close look. You can see the center bridge right there for the chronograph has the shape of a Formula One or endurance sports car driver's helmet, which is a cool little trait right there. And as I mentioned earlier, you can use the chronograph underwater without hazard of drowning your watch. This is a very complex movement. It's got 55 joules. And it uses a unique regulator. I don't know how well you could see it right here, but it combines a lot of the characteristics of a free-sprung regulator in that it's not as susceptible to shock-induced deviation, but it is a completely unique regulation system that's difficult to characterize by the standards of ordinary oscillators. It is as unique as the rest of this movement. A very cool watch on every level, and again, this is the one for the drivers or the drivers at heart. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.